Hi everyone. This course is about introduction to HTML. So let's get into it. Firstly, in order to write code, we need an environment where you can write our code, and that's known as an IDE. So I'll be introducing us to this IDE called Visual Studio Code, and I'll be walking you steps through the steps on like to download it, to have it on your system, and to get it running. So first off, you log in. You go to your browser, any browser of your choice, and you type download Visual Studio Code. The first link you will see, this is it. You click on it. So you choose, if you're using a Mac OS, if you're using Windows, you have to click on the operating system you're using. So now you can see it's downloading. So once it's done downloading, we'll open it up. I'm going to exit my browser. So we should see an agreement, a license agreement. You click on I accept the agreement, click on next. This is a location whereby it's going to store it, and you should have at least 471.1 MB of free disk space is required. And I do have that, so next. You're saving it as Visual Studio Code, next. I want to add open with code, then next. Every other thing, yes, just install. So it will take a while to install. Just wait patiently. So once it's done installing, click on finish. So after downloading your VS Code, we want to start working, we want to start writing codes. So today we'll be writing codes on HTML based on our roadmap. As someone who is going into web development, well, like in the last class that we talked about, I told you guys about the two major aspects of web development, which is the front-end development and back-end development. So first of all, dealing with the front-end development, and in the front-end development, we have three main technologies which we use, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So for today's lesson, we'll be talking about HTML. We'll actually be talking about HTML for a couple of lessons so that we can get the basics of HTML. So HTML is, the full meaning of HTML is hypertext markup language. It is used to lay structure on the web. HTML uses tags or elements to display things on the web. Let's dive straight into it. We just installed VS Code, and what we need to do right now is to create a folder on our device. So I'll head over to my file explorer and create a folder. Name this folder HTML. So I have my folder right here, HTML. I'm just going to right click on my folder, and I'll see a bunch of options. Go to show more options. Once you have had Visual Studio Code downloaded, there should be an option for you to open with code. So just click on open with code, and that folder will be opened on your VS Code directly. We have our folder opened. on our VS Code, which is HTML. When you hover on your folder, well, you have to trust the author. So when you hover on your folder, you can see 4 icons. The first one is to create a new file. Click on it, then let's name our file. In naming our file is a little bit different from when you want to name something on your device. Maybe you probably want to name a movie, you just write movie. But on your IDE, you have to actually, because based on your writing code, you have to actually tell the IDE what you're doing. I'm writing the code on HTML, I'm writing the code on JavaScript, I'm writing the code on CSS. So right now we're writing the code on HTML. So I'm going to be using, we're going to be naming it anything actually. So I'll just give it index. But the major thing right there is completing it with .html. So that you can see the enclosures right here. So the browser interprets it as an HTML code. Without it, it's just a file. But adding the HTML makes it realize that you're writing HTML code. Having created our file, we are going to write our HTML code. Whenever I want to write an HTML code, the first thing we need to do is to specify what we're writing in terms of the IDE already knows what we are doing, but does the browser knows what we're doing? No, not yet. So there are some things we have to write. So let's go. I'll explain naturally when we start writing. The first is doctype HTML. So this helps to render your structure clearly, and it helps the search engine to realize that I'm running on the latest version of HTML, which is HTML5. The next thing is the HTML itself, the HTML tag. HTML. In the HTML tag, you can specify, it's highly advisable to specify the language. In this case, we're writing English codes in it. So we have our doctype and our HTML tag. So the next is our head. Our head tag is very essential in the sense that it's used to writing codes that will not necessarily be in the browser, but it helps in the functionality of the browser. We'll be explaining how each of them works. So let's continue. The first thing we want to write here is our meta chasset, which will be set to UTF-8. Chasset is also known as character set. So it's a way of encoding text. It's telling the browser that we're encoding our text in UTF-8, which is a general encoding. That to make your site be uniform across all browsers. So if you write A here, it's going to be A on every browser, irrespective of anybody checking on your site. It's going to be the same thing. So this is speaking a common language. So we have another meta tag, and this is very important. Meta name equals to viewport, and the content width equals to device width. Initial scale equals to 1.0. So what this means is that we are specifying the viewport. What the viewport means is the size of the view of your device, actually. Not just the view of your device, the view of your browser. And to a large extent, the view of your browser will determine the view of your device. Because you can't be Googling on a smartphone and the view of your browser will be like as that of a laptop. So the view of your device will determine the view of your browser. So that's still the same thing. So, and we're trying to tell you that the width of the website you're creating should be according to the device width. So if you create a website on your laptop whenever it goes to your phone, because there are different gadgets which users use to access websites. They can use tabs, they can use phones, a lot. So imagine you're creating, mostly we create our website on our laptop, and smartphone dominates the web in terms of searching. So imagine a user coming in with his phone trying to view your website. So what this actually does is to, first of all, make sure your website uses that device width. That's what it does. So, and initial scale equals to 1. It helps in terms of responsiveness. In a setting whereby you have you've done your website, there's something called responsiveness on website. Responsiveness means, can your website fit in a smaller screen? How will it scale in a larger screen? So those are responsiveness, because you write one code but you expect it to be responsive across all devices. In the course of this lesson, we'll still get to go there. You can see that there's a lot to learn, and don't worry, I'll make it fun and interesting. So initial scale equals to 1.0 means that, oh, browser, don't zoom in and don't zoom out. Keep the authenticity for the users. So that means if I should access this web page with my phone, it's not going to zoom in because of lesser space. It's just going to be there. So sometimes you can see it's, when you start building website, you understand a lot more. But this just tells the browser that use the device width, and make sure that this width, except if the users zoom in by yourself, but you can notice that every website that you go on will stay on the scale of 1, not zooming in, not zooming out, but just normal. So another important element or tag in our head is also our title. So our title is what we see on our tabs whenever we open a website. What we see on our tabs, whereby that is used to tell what the web page is all about, even without visiting it, most especially on your tab. So what is this about? Learn web development. So I'll be giving this as my title. So don't worry, in the course of this title, you will get to understand it as we continue. So one of the things I want you guys to notice is first of all, opening your website on the browser. So opening your website on the browser, we will need to go to our extension. This is our extension right here. Click on it. I will search Live Server. Our Live Server by ReTweakDay. Mine is installed. If yours will probably not be, because you have never used it, or if you have used it too, you'll see it is installed and you probably know what it's used for. So just install it. If you don't have it installed, then you can be able to use your Live Server then once it's installed. So you just need to right click and open with Live Server. You have the code you've written on the web. So now you can notice this tab right here which says Learn Web Development, and that was what we wrote in our title. This is what our title does. Whenever you visit a page, the title will automatically tell you what you're doing on the web page just on the tab. So something I want us to take note of too, which is very good, is the autosave feature, because in VS Code you have to manually be saving your code before you can make changes on the web. But I want us to notice this earlier on and avoid Ctrl S. I literally don't use it, and I don't want you guys to use it too, except if you want to stress yourself, and which should be bothering about creating values, not stressing ourselves over the IDE. So what we can do is to head over to settings right here. Settings. Now search autosave. Usually yours will be on off, and that's the default. I want you to head over and click after delay, and that's all. you can just exit the settings. So this will help you in terms of auto saving after a while. So another important element in our HTML is the body, and the body is used to write in every code that we want to appear on the web page. Any visible code is written in the body element in your HTML. So with that being said, let's start writing our visible code, because everything we have been writing is not visible. First off, I want us to write our header element, and our header element deals in form of hierarchy from h1 to h6. h1, which is the highest, and what header does is that it tells the browser that, oh, this is the heading of this web page, this is what this web page is all about. So in terms of semantics, in terms of giving your website meaning, make sure the header is a lot of times is about what your website is, because it helps in SEO. SEO is search engine optimization, and SEO helps in ranking your page in terms of visibilities to users, because when browsers decode your code, it uses the element, and that's why I told you about semantics, giving meaning to your web page. So we're going to start by using an h1 and give it anything. What is it all about? You could say problem solving. So we can see it on our web page. So we have a couple of h tags. We have h2. We also have h3 down to h6 actually, but focusing on these three. So I'm just going to type the same thing again, problem solving. And actually the same thing again, problem solving. Okay, so we have them on our web page, and we can notice something significant right here, and that is the fact that the h1, which was the first code we wrote, is bigger than the h2 and bigger than the h3. First off, I don't want you to see this in terms of, oh, if I need a larger text, I want to head over to h1. And once again, this is one of the mistakes that beginners do, which I want you guys to take note of. So it's not about the font size. You can naturally change your font size using your CSS. So why should you bother about how the website actually brings it? It's not really the point. This just means order of importance. So this is the heading, this is the subheading, and this is after the subheading. So it's in order of importance. If you have a heading in your website, probably what the website all about, you write it in your h1. If you have some subheadings, maybe talking more about what the website all about, you can write it in your h2, and so forth. So that's what it's used for, not because this one is bigger than this one, then you feel like, oh, whenever I need a bigger text, I'll write my h1. No, I want you guys to notice this. So another tag I'll be talking about, another element I'll be talking about, is our input element. So input element is used to get inputs from I'll call it clients or users. So if you have your website and you want to collect some certain inputs for your site, you want to collect their name, you want to collect their age, input field is what we use for it. So the tag is just simple, just by the name input. So input usually have a type. By default, it's set to a type of text, and that's fine because a lot of things are text. But in a case where you want to get in someone's email, you have your input. Use input 2 for that. In this case, I'll be using a type of email because I want to get the user's email. And this is not just me writing email, it has a lot of reasons which I'll be showing you guys. I want to collect a user's password. It's important I write it in this form, input type. I have to specify that, oh, this is for password, this is for password. Okay, I want to collect a user's age, and this type will be for date. So we could notice in the fourth one on line 16, it brings in the name and the ID. I never wanted to talk about it for now to keep it simple, but since our ID brought it in, now let's talk about it. This is an advanced term, and this is very necessary when you want to get the info to your backend. So this name is what's going to appear whenever, let's say, you have a system whereby it's collecting these infos. So if I'm collecting people's dates, their date of birth, so I'll give it a name of something I can recognize. So when I see it in the backend, you can see writing this name doesn't necessarily do anything right here. It's not making any changes. But in your backend, it's going to appear as DOB and give you the value right there. So another thing, our ID can be used to style, and our ID can be used in a couple of ways. And one of the most important things we'll do with our ID is to link it to the label element. We'll get to the label element in a bit. So let's leave that ID for now. So we have another input type. We have a lot actually, but I'll be talking about this input type. Let's talk about radio, which is just a small dot here that you can click, you can check. We have input, have the type of, now let's talk about password, because password has some fascinating ways of doing things. So we've had different input types. There's still a lot which I want you guys to do a research on them. There are a lot. You can't possibly cover everything because we still have a lot of things to put in place. So let's first go to this input type of text. What does input type of text do? Basically anything text. Anything reading from ABC 1 2 3, you know, at anything text. So and this is good when you want to collect users name, their username. You want to, you know, allow some characters in some emojis, you know, some alphabet mixed together. You want to collect a user's username, let's collect their name, and let's say you just want them to write something on your web page. Fine, you can use text. But if you want to collect a user's email, you strictly have to use a type of email. If you want to collect a user's password, you strictly have to use a type of password. And I'm not just enforcing this as, oh, it's strict, but I will tell you the reason why actually. So this date, as you can see, it even helps the user. It's giving you an option of month, date, and year. If you click on this icon, it brings in a more like a calendar. So I can just choose, oh, this is my year, and September, and you choose the date, maybe it's 3rd of September 1968. So the user automatically choose their date of birth with ease. The other ways to style it in JavaScript, but we'll keep it simple because of these lessons. So this is also a checkbox. Maybe you want them to check on something, you can just put in the dots. I call it dots, but you know, it's something else though. It's a radio. So our password will actually hide whatever you're writing by default, because password is meant to be sensitive. It's actually sensitive, so I need to hide your details. Why not? So type in anything, it hashes it. So and you can see now, without even talking much, we already see some reasons why we need to use them, because they already give us those default styling. Imagine you want to receive someone's password and you're using a type of text, which is the first one. You're just going to write everything, and it's not good. And and it's when you want to do more advanced stuff, it's going to make you do everything custom. So it's better you start using these good ways. These are one of the things that sometimes they don't tell beginners, but what's I all about for beginners, and I want you guys to actually know everything, like as in the course of this lesson. So when you're writing code, you're not just writing code, but you're writing good codes. We have our input type of text, input type of email, which is used to get in our email info. We have our input type of password. We have our input type of date, which can also be used to get in date of birth. We have our input type of radio. We have our input type of password is just a repetition. I think we need to remove that. So we also have other input types. Let's look at a few more of them. We have an input type of checkbox. This is used to check info. We have our input type of submit. We have our input type of reset. And a lot of them, actually. We have a lot of them. So speaking on input, I would like to introduce you guys to form. Actually, form works hand in hand in input. Just imagine this scenario whereby when in a real world scenario, you're asked to fill a form. If you're being asked to fill a form, you should know that you're giving info. Most of the times you're giving info. So just think of that for the web. An input is always enclosed in a form, and form is very, very essential in getting user details. So we enclose all our input in a form. And if you can notice, our form has an action attribute. The action attribute is used to specify what to do with it, where it should go to. So this is very essential if you're integrating your backend to collect the user input. But in this course, we'll only be looking at a lot we can do with our input field. Our form enables the inputs to be interactive in a sense whereby if let's put in some few things here. In the first form, putting in a name. In the second, I'm putting in an email. In the third, I'm putting in password. The fourth, I'm putting in a date. The fifth, checking in the radio, checking the checkbox. If I click on submit, it's just going to refresh everything. And submit is different from reset in the sense that submit goes to somewhere. If you can see in our search box, we can see that the date in which we imputed is here, and that's because we gave it a name attribute, and it's telling us that the DOB is equals to 2025, 12th of 2025, 12. That was the date we put there, so that's why it's in the query. So now let's do what we call client-side validation. This is part of HTML. It's one is very essential when you are dealing with input, because in input you have to validate what the users are giving you. So I'm not just only teaching you guys based on best practice. I'm teaching you guys because I know that you guys actually use this skill to build reward projects, and that is where the real knowledge comes from. Reward project. You're not just learning to be a developer just because you just want to, do something. Anything you're doing, any software you're doing is for someone to use. Even if it's just for yourself, it's still good to have this knowledge. So I'm teaching you guys what we call client-side validation. What's client-side validation? Client-side validation is a way of validating your input, making sure that you get the right input you want. Okay, imagine a scenario whereby you just want a user to type in banana, and you want to be very precise of that information. And if the user doesn't type in banana, it's not going to be accepted. So let's do something similar to that. We only want to receive banana as our text. What we can do is using a pattern attribute. And in the pattern attribute, we'll specify what we want. We only want text called banana. And you are permitting two types of the first letter, which could be small letter or capital letter. So writing this pattern, if a user should type in anything else rather than that and submit, it's going to tell it to match the requested format. You could be more specific with that using JavaScript. Yes, you could, but this is just more like a pattern. So let's talk about the actually naming your input. You can see that this input in a real world scenario, you can't just put in an input like that. You have to really give in the prompt. So let's give in the prompt of what we want the users to do, and given in that prompt, we'll be using the label tag or the label element. And label element is very good for semantics. It's used to it works hand in hand with our input field, and you'll see why in a minute. So this is how to write your label. And if you can see, label comes with a for attribute. That for attribute is used to link it to your input field. And in linking it to your input field, you just give your input field an ID that correlates with your for attribute. So I'll be giving it an ID of fruit. Also be giving it a for attribute of fruit. And I'll be asking the user, I'll just tell the user, type in banana. So I gave in the prompt for the user to type in banana. As you can see, if I should click on type in banana, so in writing the ID and the for attributes, it should actually be the same. So I did a subtle mistake here. It's not supposed to be in capital letter. If you can notice, this is in small letter. So the both should be in small letter. Now let's go back to our browser. If I should click on type in banana, it's going to hover on the input field. That's showing that they are connected together. So if the user should just click on the typing banner, you should be able to do what you are writing was expected. So let's type in something else actually, and let's try to submit. It's just going to ask, please match the requested format. So let's type in what it actually asks us to type, and it asks us to type banana, and we submit. So you can see it actually submits because you typed in banana. So these are one of the ways to be more specific about your input. So now I want us to zoom in a little bit on label, and let's label all our input field. So and it's very advisable whenever you're using an input field, always use your label. So I'm just going to copy this and paste this a couple of times directly above our input field. Okay, so the second input field is about email, and I'm going to just ask the user, what's your email? And of course the for attribute shouldn't be fruit, because leaving the for attribute as fruit, leaving all of them as fruit, it means that anyone you click is going to hover on the first one. If you click what's your email, it's going to hover on the first one. If you click type in banana, it's going to hover on the first one. That's because the ID of the for attribute is on our first input, our first type of text. So that's why whenever you click on any of them, it's going to hover on the first one. So we have to be more specific. Putting in our label, I'm going to change it to for attribute of email. I'm also going to give my email input an ID of email. Also, our label for fruit, I'm going to give it a for attribute. Since the input type is password, I'm going to give it a for attribute of password. I'm going to enter the password. This for date of birth. Split as DOB. It's going to write date of birth. ID of DOB2. That's perfect. For radio, using a for attribute of radio and an ID of radio. And this will probably click, then give it a for attribute of check and also an ID of check, and this should just be check as well. Yeah, so I'm not doing this for the type of submit and type of reset because they are basically a button. They are basically buttons. They are used to submit whatever you have done, or one is used to reset. So those are the major difference. And in seeing the differences, if I should type in anything right here, this tries to validate it. If I click on reset, it just clears it. So those are the two different things. They might look alike because whenever we type in the right thing and we click on submit, it's still going to refresh. They look alike, but they are not doing the same thing. So we already have our label, which makes our form more interactive. Okay, we have some issues with the password. Okay, we didn't put an ID for password. So the password, the date of birth, the click, the check. So we have everything working. So now I want to be more specific. Let's say we have a very important form that I want the users to fill. We use an attribute of required just to tell the user that you need to fill this. Let's say we want the users to put in his or her email or their email. Then I will add an attribute of required to it. So in the course of filling in everything, and my password, putting my date, I check, I submit. Sorry, I check, I click and I check, and I'm trying to submit. It's going to tell me, please fill out this field. So you won't be able to submit till you actually fill out this field. So that's how it is, and that's how it works. So we use the required attribute. We also have an attribute called autofocus, in the sense whereby if you automatically zoom in whenever you want to write in your input. But this works on mobile devices. It is autofocus, and this allows us to it zooms in whenever you want to write in your input. It's not working on desktop, but on your mobile device it works. And also by default, Chrome uses autofocus when the font size of the text you're going to be writing is less than 16 pixels. So take note of that too. So another thing I want to talk about is also being precise with your input. You might have an input field whereby you just want to collect, maybe you're precise in an instance whereby you want to collect when you want the users to type in banana, and I want to be more specific again, apart from giving them the pattern, I'm going to use an attribute called minimum length, min length, and I know, oh sorry, we removed the autofocus. So I'm going to use an attribute called min length. So now we already know that this banana is spelled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-letter word, and I'm expecting 6 inputs. So I can put my min length to 6 and set the max length to 6 also, or not necessarily, I might just put the max length. So min length is for the minimum length you want to accept, while the max length is for the maximum length you want to accept. So now in this input field, whenever I'm typing, once I get to 6 letters, I won't be able to type anything anymore. So if you can see closely, these 6 letters, so you won't be able to type in anything anymore. That helps too to be precise of your input. One of the things that our input field does for us also in terms of the type is it helps us to be more precise. In terms whereby I can do everything right, okay, I'm doing this right. I'm entering my password, and I just enter something like this for my Gmail. Just enter a name, like, and I fill everything else. I click and I check and I submit. It's going to tell me that please include an @ in your email address. Rain is missing an @ So what this is saying is that it's expecting something like an email, and one of the patterns of email is that it always have an @ gmail.com, @live, whatever. So it's expecting at least an @ So at least this to some extent still helps to do client-side validation. There's a way we do it again in JavaScript, but for now we're only dealing with HTML. So we've seen a lot about our input. We've seen a lot about our input. So the next thing I'll be talking about is how to input an image on the web page. So inputting an image on the web page, you need to input that image on your computer. So for me, pardon me, I already have one named. I already have another folder called assets on my computer, but I'll show you guys how to do that. So I'm not using these assets. I'm just going to create a new one. So I'm going to click on new folder and just write, name it anything actually. So I'm writing images. So I'm just going to take that image. In this case, this is my image. I'm just going to copy it, and you can just copy your image from wherever you have it on your device. Copy it with Ctrl+C, then you click on that image when the arrow is pointing down, and you paste it in it. So I have that image in my image folder. So what I'm just going to do is to use the element. I told you guys that in inputting anything in your HTML, we use elements. So I'm going to use the image element to input the image. And the image element is just a short form, img. So it has the source src attributes, which is the source, and alt, which is the alternative. So the alternative is used to is displayed whenever you don't have an image there, and it also helps for screen readers to understand what this is all about. So I can just put in an alt, beautiful bird. Yeah. So putting in an alt, and you can see that it already appears. There was no image there, so you just like, oh, this is an image, and the image is about a beautiful bird. So in case your image is not loading, you have a text, and the user actually knows that, oh, an image is here. So let's actually put in the image. So in putting in the image, whenever you want to access a file in files, whenever you want to access files inside a folder, you use the dot and a /. So it shows you folders that you have inside. It shows you folders and files that you have inside that same folder. So mine is in assets, and I have it in image, and click on it so you can access it, and the next thing, it displays my image on the web. So this is the image, and now inputting an image on the web, you guys can notice how image is ridiculously big, and it's annoying actually. So we'll see how to narrow down on this, and you'll see how to make image responsive. So I think, please, you guys should let me know in the comments if you guys want us to discuss more on HTML, or we should try and style what we have done in the next class. So you guys should just let me know. honestly, I wanted to, follow that strict part of HTML, but HTML is pretty much boring without CSS, and they work hand in hand together. So it depends on how you guys want to learn. So just let me know. Left to me, I'll have continued, but seeing some annoying things in HTML is unbearable. So you guys should just let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, like the video, comment. It will actually help me go a long way, and just knowing that I'm here for you guys. And also, I want you guys to comment, actually tell me what you guys feel about this video, if it was really helpful, if it taught you a lot, and just make your suggestion. Let's make a family together. As you can see, I'm new on YouTube, and I essentially created this channel just because of the hurdles I faced personally when I was going into web development, and I want to make that easy for anybody going through it, because I found out that the info that you get on tech whenever you are joining is very, very vague. Some are even cliche. So I just want to bridge in that gap, and that's why I created this channel. This channel is not just created as a random YouTube channel. It's created to, interact with people and have real-time lesson. Actually, let's grow the farm together. So thank you. Be sure to subscribe. Bye.